at what we found. It's a big sound in a small town. Far from the bright lights, they're making music every night. Hear what is all around. It's a big sound in a small town. It's a big sound in a small town. It's a big sound in a small town.
Hi, welcome to Season 4 of Big Sound Small Town. I'm your host, Sandy Carlton. Join me as musicians tell their stories about how they became musicians and the stories along the way.
Okay, so my name is Ty Gilpin. I am an artist advocate, I guess foremost. Artist myself, bluegrass picker, director of marketing for Crossroads Entertainment over in just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. which is a label umbrella under which we have the imprints Mountain Home Music Company, Sunlight Records, and Organic Records, and Horizon Records actually also as well. I've been here working at this office 18 years this month actually.
Wow.
And I came to Asheville, North Carolina back in 1995, I want to say, from Nashville, Tennessee, where I grew up.
Oh, you grew up in Nashville?
Grew up in Nashville, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool, really.
Yeah. Gilletsville, Tennessee, just north of town.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know
That's me.
Oh, that's cool.
A couple of hats there.
Is that where your music experience really took off at, was Nashville? I mean,
Sure, yeah.
I mean, I didn't know if that was, I lived there, but music hadn't, I found music someplace later, but that was part of growing up there.
Yeah. It's always make the joke we had to play music out of self-defense growing up.
Yeah, I think it's probably true. You know, So your whole life running into famous people was just an everyday occurrence, probably.
Somewhat, being the age I am, a lot of the iconic country music stars I went to high school with, like their kids.
Their kids, yeah.
All the Oak Ridge Boys kids.
Hell yeah.
And some of the Mandrell kids went to high school, and then between my house and my high school in Hendersonville area there was Long Hollow Jamboree, where Bill Monroe would always play, and we'd grow up seeing him play, and at Bell Cove Club just over the bridge there. My neighbors had a bluegrass group, and sort of in the water, from an early age. I got my instrument early teen years, never really, just kind of hacked around on it. Maybe still am hacking around on it. And listen to a lot of diverse music growing up, growing up in the 80s really, everything from early,
all kinds
early
of
hip hop to, alternative music, punk rock. And to me, bluegrass had the same sort of drive and element
it does
punk
really.
rock does. So it got my blood flowing. So kind of a black sheep kid, but just a bit dyed in the wool of the bluegrass experience, maybe even on a subconscious level that eventually emerged as I got older, got into my college years. Yeah,
you did. Way before, it's not I went off to college and I picked up a guitar or I picked up a mandolin. You were doing that before you ever
around
went
it.
to school.
Yeah, around it more as a kid,
Yeah.
but really took it more seriously or found it to be not just a oddball thing to do, as I've met more folks that did that and played it as I got older.
Sure. And I think that is, when you're a kid and you do that, there's not that many people that do that. Maybe in Nashville.
There were some, it seemed like then, but not enough in my immediate circle to have me pursue it more ferociously then.
Right.
It took until I got a bit older to really get into it.
So, all right. So you're living in Nashville. You've learned how to play music, but you go off to college and probably do something else, right? I mean, your intent was not to be in the music business, or was it?
Was in somewhat a draw to play music brought me over to Western North Carolina. I went to Western Kentucky for a while.
Yeah.
Because you could go out of state. You didn't have to pay out of state tuition to go up there. I went there for a couple years and played in sort of folky bluegrass fringe type groups then. And some friends of mine from Nashville had come over here to Warren Wilson College in Swannanoa, and were telling me about it. And I thought, well, that's really great. And they said, there's even, some bluegrass bands that play on campus. I was like, wow, I really love to get over the mountains to some more, to where all this music comes from. It was sort of a intentional seeking the authenticity that I didn't get or just get a sense of growing up.
Well, and that is the thing about bluegrass in Nashville, is different than bluegrass in North Carolina, Virginia. Plus, have you ever noticed that it stops at South Carolina, though? I mean, you cross the state line, and I don't even think they know what a mandolin is, So, it's weird how it does it. But you can go to Georgia, and they know.
Yeah.
South Carolina gets kind of pushed out. I guess you can't shag to it. I don't know. So.
It's true. I mean, there's the different veins of styles and enthusiasm, different parts of the Southeast.
Were you more drawn to traditional or this newgrass?
Oh no, the Bill Monroe stuff.
Sure.
Definitely that was what I wanted to do and play. In fact, when I got over here and started going to Warren Wilson, I had a fun little group that we kind of cutting our teeth on playing as a band called Second String, which was a bunch of great guys that I went to school with. Lance Mills, Joan Smith, Will Chatham, and myself, and it was basically like a Stanley's cover band,
right?
Almost, a lot of Bill Monroe
that's
stuff.
Cool, though.
And some Don Reno things, and so that's what we wanted to do and play. It was a hardcore. It really wasn't until as I got more into my 20s that I started opening up to more progressive styles of music. Some different friends were saying, you got you're into the trad stuff. You're missing all these other decades that are really gonna help you, grow and explore the genre. And so that it eventually happened. Over the years, and then
I think
it helped me
with bluegrass. I do think if you get the old school fundamentals before you go to the newgrass part of it, or the I guess we'll call it acoustic part of it these days. I mean, I do think you get a foundation that you don't get if you start the other way.
Yeah, true. I mean, at the same time, there was an access point, I think, through some of the Grateful Dead oriented things as well. Where you get the Grisman and the Garcia banjo style stuff, and so that was that was my first exposure stuff. Where it might be kind of cool, other than just granddad's music. So there's some access points there, but the what I wanted to play and do originally as a group was to do trad stuff. And then grow from there. Which, no, for better or worse, I don't know.
I think it's better. And one of the things about being in Asheville is sometimes the lines get blurred here between bluegrass and even old time, which doesn't happen very many places, period. I mean, you do not have two distinct groups working in the same community where one of them are old time and one of them are bluegrass.
That was even more so, I think, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, it was. I think it was.
Much more of a blurred line there. True that. Yeah. And Nashville, Nashville's a great amalgamation of lots of stuff.
Lots of music.
And I think the scene now is you got some younger folks who are more influenced less by the hardcore traditional bluegrass, although you still got it, around. Obviously.
Sure.
We were at Jack of the Wood last night. Darren Nicholson, Aldi Blaylock, and Mark Pruitt doing a collab.
And that's
thing.
that. I mean, those guys are
great.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Yeah, it's legendary.
Here. Yeah. So you've got that, and then you've got an influx of folks that cut their teeth listening to or trying to get into the vibe, play like Yonder Mountain.
Yeah, Yonder Mountain. Yeah.
Now Billy String's coming along.
Yeah.
It's creating a great, fantastic, exciting revival as well.
It really is. That is.
And he's just playing bluegrass.
He is just playing bluegrass. I mean, yes, he is.
Great bluegrass, I should say, not just playing bluegrass.
He is playing great bluegrass, and he's kind of really an anomaly if you think about it. Young guy, kind of his own swagger type thing. That's and then I guess Molly Tuttle probably falls into that.
Absolutely.
It's it's still the same stuff in theory. It's just a younger generation doing it.
Yeah, I mentioned those two. And meeting John Weisberger, who works here at the label with us, he and I produced a tribute collaboration with Molly and Billy were involved for Roland White a few years back. We just found out Roland White's suddenly in the hospital.
Yeah, I heard that.
Some health issues, but so we were, John wrote half of the songs for Billy's last two albums. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
Connection there, yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's great stuff, and I think that's one of the things that drew me from Nashville to Asheville as well, was that diversity in music combined with the authenticity that's always there. You got the Basco Marlets Festival and, the different jams and things around town. And so,
whereas there is a lot of diverse music in Nashville, but you do have to seek it harder than you do in Asheville.
Yeah, I mean, and there's incredible players. For a long time, for the bluegrass Even going back to Ricky Skaggs, speaking of Mark Pruitt, who would import, the North Carolina pickers to come play, on their Nashville albums, and a lot of that happening because a lot of people come from other places, and there's a big hotbed of that stuff here that they've gone from here to Nashville over the years. And, there's just great nowadays, just the excellence of even the street corner picker.
Sure. Oh, I agree. Oh, yes, it is.
The bar player,
the buskers are even, some of them are really talented.
The playing in the clubs there for tourists, just excellent talent. But there's something really important, I think, about coming to one of the origin places, which is
I agree.
East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. So that's what drew me here.
I can say that.
Magnet.
It's drawn a lot of people here. I mean, I've met a lot of artists who have said, I came to Asheville or Western North Carolina for that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty big on fiddlers, and I know a lot of fiddlers. I used to go to Tommy Gerald's, if you know who Tommy Gerald is.
Absolutely.
I used to go to Tommy's house, and people have come and done that here.
Arville,
that's who I was thinking about then. So, I mean, it's the same type of deal where you can come and get the authentic stuff. So, it's pretty cool, really.
It is.
David Holt helped a whole lot of that, too, make it address it in a manner that people knew it was here, too. I mean, through all of his work.
Yeah. Spread out the fan base and great advocate as well.
Yeah. And a talented musician in his own right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I seen him do stuff with paper bag that I couldn't do with like an orchestra,
So. The many years he spent with Doc too.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. Doc is also a whole different type of thing. Doc is bluegrass, but Doc is not bluegrass. You could put Doc in folk music. You could put Doc in so many places. Rockabilly even.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I think Billy directly or indirectly, Billy Strings tributes all that Doc style playing too to his work. So there's another great connection.
Oh yeah.
So went the traditional route. Sometime in 2004, I met the owner president of this label here, Mickey Gamble, who's been a great friend and mentor over the last 20 odd years for me. And I remember he took me, before I was working here, he took me to Nashville to the old War Memorial Theater there, the one up on Legislative Plaza. And there was a night of music where Doyle Lawson was reforming all his different incarnations of his band and doing a night of this, through the years. And they had a video crew, and I got sort of a look at big production music business. And he was back there, he was back behind stage wrangling contractual releases with folks so they could, appear on and be be on the project, the recorded project in the video. And it's just sort of fascinating. I ended up, kind of following up with him. Go, wow, this side of things is really just so deep. There's so many things going on besides just the music. It's like a larger spectrum of fulfillment within the music context. So I eventually worked out with him to come on board over here at the label, and that was March '04. So,
what did you do when you came over originally?
I promoted Southern gospel music to radio. This label was heavily into that side of the genre. They started, the label started over as Hear Music as a recording studio, principally off of Merriman Avenue, which the building has now been raised just last year. And Mickey and a partner or two of his started it back then, late '80s, I believe. And it was to record what they saw was a growing music scene or a scene that was already developed in the traditional sense somewhat, or combination of both, not unlike the way it is now, to record Asheville and regional music. Who ended up showing up that had, the ways and means to book the studio stuff was a lot of the
Southern
gospel because you have the Kingsmen here, the Inspiration. So they kind of showed up, and through their connections, it just sort of organically grew as a gospel label. They later partnered with some more folks that came out of Nashville and East Tennessee. Chris White formed a couple of Southern gospel imprints. Got involved early on with some groups like the Isaacs.
Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, said sort of fed into the more bluegrass style of things, and the bluegrass element came ostensibly out of bluegrass gospel, and then later to a more filled out, robust bluegrass label and artist, including Doyle Lawson, like I just mentioned, coming over. And about the time I started working, the intent was to get more bluegrass artists. He knew that was something that I was passionate about, but it was on the radar to do anyway. Some of the early ones there were a lot of bluegrass gospel crossover, like Newfound Road.
Right,
Eventually, the Lonesome River Band came along, and then the beginning seed of what became Balsam Range.
Sure. That would stand to reason.
Yeah, local group and one of our flagship bluegrass groups now. And since then, it's grown with several other artists in that genre. Darren and Brooke Aldridge were working with us for a good while there. Now there's the Grascals and Sideline and Chris Jones and the Night Drivers. Just a whole pile of newer, younger artists that are coming along. And a regular stable of heavy hitter, new, not necessarily traditional or progressive exactly, but just new, contemporary bluegrass artists.
Oh, yeah.
And then eventually, because of our growing interest in kind of going back, I think, to the seed of the original purpose of the studio / label, was to have a vested interest in what was going on locally and regionally and beyond. And that fit really well to resurrecting a label called Organic Records that was kind of a long, maybe slightly uninteresting, history of Organic. As its original imprint was a part of a parent company that happened back on the West Coast. Anyway, we still own the rights to the original name of it. So the resurrection of it was to be great. The tagline was "Great music, no boundaries," a catch-all for anything that wouldn't necessarily be easily categorized as bluegrass or Southern gospel, but had more the Americana feel, more the maybe targeted towards regional, but not necessarily as it grew. But ultimately, a lot of it's sort of fallen under what you would consider modern day Americana definitions.
Yeah, it is.
So we started working with a old time record that Adam Steffi had recorded and launched it there. And since then, some of our foundational groups.
You launched Adam Steffi on Organic.
Well, we Adam's old time vibe record, New Primitive, sort of was the first, I think, release we did as the resurrected Organic.
Okay, as opposed to running him through basic bluegrass.
Yeah, he had done some bluegrass albums prior. They were on Mountain Home, and he has since then done some Mountain Home. And the Boxcars were on Mountain Home as well. So we had Adam, and then Aaron Burdett.
Aaron, in my opinion, I know Aaron. He's done the podcast, but Aaron is one of the finest songwriters in North Carolina.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Maybe even in the whole United States. I mean, he's such a fine writer.
He has won some the Merle Fest songwriter competition and some other Our State songwriting competitions, and he just gets better and better. So he was one of the early members of the Organic stable.
He's
there.
diverse too. I mean, sometimes he's more acoustic, and sometimes he's more electric.
Yes, he started doing more, electric folk Americana, and his last album and this upcoming group of songs he's recording is a lot more in the bluegrass vein, in the sense of instrumentation.
Yeah.
And then other.
He does both of them well, though.
He does. He does. I think we knew a little bit of how to access the bluegrass audience because it's our wheelhouse for him, and we said, try some of this style, and it really grew his fan base, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah.
And I was just going to mention another fantastic writer, in my opinion, another one of the best anywhere. Amanda Platt.
Amanda Platt is. I agree.
Yeah,
She has. Amanda's done the podcast, and she's a real sweetheart and has a good story. And her voice is really unique. Also, I mean, you know who it is when you hear her. If you've ever heard it once, you don't have to go, that sounds like Amanda. Amanda Ann Platt. It is. If you hear it, I mean, you recognize it.
And a beautiful writer, wonderful person. The Honeycutters, which eventually became Amanda Ann Platt, and the Honeycutters were also one of the foundational groups for organic.
And that's a fine outfit. I mean, good. She's had a good band.
Oh yeah, Matt Smith and Rick Cooper and her husband Evan, just really some of the best around. So
I agree. You actually have a pretty good. You got buddies of mine up here recording this week too, don't you? On organic.
Yeah, one of our most recent additions, your friends and everybody's, I'm sure, Acoustic Syndicate.
Yeah.
They are finishing their album this weekend that we're going to put out in July.
Which is, they have the capacity to do traditional bluegrass as well as anyone, but they choose not to a lot. They have their own little place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's different than probably everyone else. I mean, I guess they get grouped a lot with like Leftover Salmon or Jam Bandy a little bit, but they're a bluegrass act, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, and they're one of those. They are the fusion type of band that is again based with a foundation of great, maybe not totally traditional, but they understand that foundation of traditional playing and singing and how they grew up. Farm boys from Cleveland County.
Yeah, and for real. I mean, some people are cowboys with a hat on, but they're just cowboys with a hat on. But these guys actually, they played farm aid. In fact, they're probably the only farmers to ever play farm aid.
Maybe so. But they've been around forever. I consider them, a seminal group as far as that fusion, if you want to say, jamgrass scene. And I say they've been around forever. They've had a long-lasting career, and I think just listening to what they were laying down this weekend, they're doing some of the best work yet. And I think that happens to a lot of groups. They blaze a trail, and they get a big fan base, and then that if they can maintain, even with all the things that life throws at you, that gets in, maybe kind of doesn't always mean that you can do all music all the time every year.
Yeah.
But if you keep doing it, you have this sort of second
I think their
string
shows
of their career that's starting to really happen now, and they're getting back into.
I think they have now a combined audience of young and old people who just discovered them to people who were there when they were, just starting
back in
out.
the Green Acres day.
Yeah, back in the Green Acres day. Actually, I went through Green Acres, and through the whole catalog of people who were there, and they played there more than anyone. Second to Newgrass Revival.
I was going to say those the two.
Mm-hmm. They had the most. Although there were other. And it's really strange how a lot of those people, most of the people that played there are still playing music. Several combinations. I think Jay, the bass player for Acoustic Syndicate, maybe played there with two different bands before Acoustic Syndicate.
Oh, wow.
So
that was actually my connection. Jay and I grew up near each other in Nashville as well, and we were old friends, and I was friends with his sister as well, went to school together with her at Warren Wilson, and that was kind of a bit of our long-standing connection. And when they said that we want to get in the studio and do some things again, and I was trying to show them that it didn't have to be as the same kind of experience that they're used to, in the sense that they can record as they go, take some more time, release singles.
Is that the market these days? I mean,
somewhat. It's a mixed bag, but yeah, I mean, with the streaming platforms and the democratization of music in the sense that it is now, you can really apply different kinds of processes. It doesn't have to be the standard come in, cut a 12-song album, put a bunch of money into it, see if you can make the money back. You can. We've got situations now where we put singles out. We've had Balsam Range, actually. They released their album at the end of last year, but prior to that, throughout 2020 and 2021, we released a sequence of singles. I think 3, 4, or maybe even the fifth one. I think 4 for sure went to the #1 radio slot.
Right.
Before the album even came out. I mean, you can pay for an album doing that.
Right.
Before an album comes out, you've already made your money back.
I think that's pretty wise these days. It's almost a 45 industry again, like it used to be at one point where they put out 45s with the A side and the B side too.
Yeah.
And then you would wait for the album to come out. And
we've experimented with that very same kind of thing. Here's something that'll work in radio. Here's something that's just fans will really want to consume on the streaming platforms, and you can grow your audience.
I agree.
In those worlds, as before a physical piece of product come out, which we still do, put out CDs.
Yeah, I mean, you still put out the full deals too.
Yeah, and there's still.
But do those become compilation, or do you hold some of them back? I mean, okay, we're coming in and basically putting together an album, a song or two at a time, 2 songs. You release one periodically, 6 weeks later you do it again.
Yeah.
Now when you decide to put those together, I mean, you're leaving some out, right? I mean, you're not. Say it's 12. You're not going to do 12 different releases, right?
Yeah. It depends. When you say compilations, that's actually what we refer to albums now.
Yeah, it is.
In the building.
Yeah, and I really wanted to. That's where I was going, so you would address that in a professional manner.
Well, we'll see how professional it is. So you can do it. It's open to do any kind of combination of things.
Yeah, that's
you can
good.
do EPs. You can do full albums. If you recorded 10, 14 songs over the course of a couple of years, you can put 10 of those out as a full album. You can save some other ones as singles. They can be standalone.
Yeah, that's cool.
You can put them all together and have one big compilation. So the sky's the limit, and we try to have something reflective.
But that's so different.
Well.
That's so different these days than years ago. I mean, in fact, recent history, you go in, you do your 10, 12, whatever, and they're going out.
Yeah, this industry is really shifting sands.
It is.
It's not really under our total control. The nimbleness and adaptiveness that we apply to whatever's coming down the pike with new delivery methods, technologies, consumer preferences, that is under our control. The ability to be flexible for all that. So we've got a group of people who are really good at that. Are really good at thinking on their feet and staying ahead of things.
All right. So when you came in to this outfit, you were pretty well promoting gospel music to radio stations.
Yeah.
Does anybody even do that anymore? I mean, is there any promotion going towards radio stations still?
Yeah.
Because I think our people like to know that. It's listening. It's like, there used to be the guys who would go around and take everything, I mean, trade all. When I started in the business, you'd hire a guy to go to a radio station, and sometimes you'd have to give everything from cigars to whatever, to get them.
Payola days.
Yeah. Spin doctors, they'd go around and what will it take to get my bands, you to play it like 10 times?
Right.
Well,
yes, we have an in-house radio promoter that still is communicating with gospel radio stations. It's a spin-based thing now, so it's automated. People can tell,
digitally
track what an album's getting spun, but you're still making sure people are aware of what the new single is, how it's doing out there chart-wise. There is a Southern Gospel chart that gets digitally and physically printed every month, and it's interesting because those charts can affect. They're sort of barometer of what's going on with a particular artist out there. So they're still useful. And the same thing's true for bluegrass.
True, it is.
Americana also has its own chart.
It does.
All the WNCWs of the world out there are still reporting, what's being in heavy play, right? And contributing to those charts, because those are things that add to, keep artists on the radar or show how much they're rising. And those are, gatekeeper, tastemaker processes that help, break artists' careers.
It does. I mean, it really does. Because, and it is a bit easier to track these days, because basically it used to be all you had was whatever ASCAP or BMW told you was going on.
ASCAP, I wish it was ASCAP and BMW.
Yeah, BMI, BMW.
I wish back in the day when this was happening, you could get BMWs.
Yeah,
now
this is true.
Scrappy.
Oh, my royalty checks these days, they're funny. They're instead of K's being after the end of them, now there's like cent numbers after them.
Right.
It's just crazy.
So there's still very much a robust effort to promote to radio and all those genres. And that's what I did for a while. I did sales. After that, I was calling up mainly at that time Christian bookstores and local bookstores back when what we refer to as brick and mortar was a thing. And as that has been diminished, worked on other projects, eventually doing different campaigns for artists that were more geared to modern day music marketing. And I seem to have a little bit of a knack, mainly just because I'm a big cheerleader for these groups and just really
that helps. I mean, it really does.
I'm just a fan. I'm just a fan with a job.
Well, those people who do that, usually their artists are a good bit more successful, because you believe in the product that you're trying to sell. I mean, all salesmen, when they really believe in their product, do a better job than saying, I got to sell this and I don't really care. When it's my job to sell this.
And that's what this building is full of, is those people.
That's good, and that's what you want. Music. Yeah, I mean, that's how you're successful with it.
I think so. We've got people that grew up in singing Southern gospel music to people that grew up playing bluegrass and different, more diverse styles of music. So eventually we kind of created a marketing title arm, of which I am more, that's what it's my main thing now, which, you're wearing a lot of hats. We're all doing everything. We're all writing. We're all doing publicity, marketing narratives. A lot of times I'm in charge of photo shoots and video shoots and still talking to a lot of bluegrass radio folks, trying to figure out where marketing dollars can be best spent through social media, through our partners, our editorial partners out there that we co-promote with, or that promote our folks. XM Radio, which is the lifeline.
Yes, it is. Yes,
XM radio is the lifeline for royalties.
It is
the number one way that
and that's the part that people miss a lot these days too, because the royalty part is a totally different thing these days than it used to be.
It is, and that's the main one
that is. I agree.
That's the royalty rate is so much higher for a digital satellite broadcast.
Do you guys even print CDs anymore?
Yeah, we do. I don't know where it'll be that moment where everything goes just totally digital. I feel like it has for lots of genres or specific artists. But the tactile part of it is still, because people still want to support an artist as a memento when they see him live, whether it be a shirt, a hat, an album. The big tactile thing obviously now is vinyl making the big comeback.
True, vinyl is making a big comeback
too.
Yeah, it's and that's part of helping the band merchandise. I mean they can. There's cash flow for them.
Yeah,
so
totally.
And you think about it. I mean, I see a lot of young people and I'll talk with them, and it's like, you got to see these. No, man, we don't have to see these. It's like, no. Yeah. But then those are guys that aren't playing festivals. They aren't playing, they're guys that are out, but they're not selling merchandise. They don't, at that point, I don't think they realize that a large portion of making a living is through merchandise and
Sure.
That's a big part still of a band's livelihood.
The Acoustic Syndicate actually texted me, Steve McMurray texted me yesterday. He said, I can't remember, we're going to actually have physical CDs for this or not? I said, we're still going to have that. And they still scan and count physical sales, both in stores, direct to customer through websites, and at shows. You can track your sales there, and it all adds up to those billboard numbers. Sure. So,
and that's kind
still
of
happening. Vinyl too.
Yeah, that's good that you guys do that in-house here too. You help with that.
Yeah, we do. The offices and the positions, there's about 14 folks that work here in the office, and then we have connected to that two full-time studios downstairs,
right,
which are functions of the label. So everything is, under one roof.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, really.
The CD actual production is not, and the fulfillment companies are based, one's in Nashville, one's in Memphis, that Selecto Hits, which was branch originally of Sun Records. It was a distribution branch. So we
that's
work
pretty
with them
cool.
Yeah, it's a great legacy.
And those are both in music-oriented cities also.
Yes.
Which is sometimes they might know a little more than non-music-oriented cities,
Yeah, when we keep a close connection to those entities and those communities,
sure,
back and forth to Nashville all the time.
Oh yeah.
So everything is happening under one roof.
Yes,
we can.
Do you have people sending you stuff all the time wanting to be on your label?
Yes.
I'm sitting here, and you're probably going to get more of them because of what we just talked about. Why would you not at this point? If you were a bluegrass band, or say you do something that fits organic, and we're doing a great job selling this to a band. A really good working band would find this a wonderful deal. Everything's in house. I've heard the recordings, so I know they're good. I've listened to hours and hours of music that's been done here. Why would you not? Other than probably they can't afford you, but other than that, why would you not try to get on this? Give me a reason that you should not try to get on your label.
Well, get on our label.
Yeah.
I think that artists have to understand what it is that they need to be on any label.
True. This is true.
You're looking for that. If you're looking for we're an expanded team of the artist, and it has to be somewhat beneficial to both sides because you're basically splitting, profits.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something to split.
Yeah, exactly.
So there has to be,
a fan base
for an artist,
yes.
and there's only so much, only so big our roster can get and still give adequate
True.
attention to everybody. So we're always trying to look for that sweet spot.
It's like the booking agent.
Sure.
I learned that from a booking agent one time is don't take everybody you can because you can't serve them.
Yeah. And we want to be able to
Keith
serve.
Case actually is where I learned that from.
Sure. Keith was, yeah.
He had a ton more than most people had, but he told me once that he could have taken on 3 times the amount of people he did.
Yeah, Keith was great. He was a big part of making a lot of artists' careers successful. And that's what we, want to do too. We want to be able to have that balance,
right,
so that we can put the energy and the efforts into the artists. And it's always rewarding. It can be tough. I think an artist has to realize if they're going to get a label team that you don't just hand off the duties and the work to a larger expanded team. It
True.
really means that you're kicking.
You're invested
efforts.
too. with
yeah,
it. Yeah.
you're kicking your efforts up a notch. You're
Yeah.
you're getting more even busier and more active and
Well, I guess
more
you got,
all into a music career. So it's
you
a lot
are.
of work for
I
them
mean,
too.
yeah, you can't do this and decide I don't want to tour or I don't want to promote this once it's done.
Right.
You know,
right. And you have to sort of shed the independent artist mindset, and can be sometimes tough too because everybody starts DIY to some extent these days.
Yeah, true.
Because you have to build a fan
particularly.
base.
You do.
If you don't have anything attractive to bigger entities and bigger teams, then it's
Do
like I
you
said, there's
guys
nothing
find
there
these yourself? I mean, or I guess it's like now you have so much to choose from that you don't really have to figure this out. I mean, I guess people send you stuff all the time.
Yeah, I mean, with being at it as long as a lot of us have, in the sense of the label itself is 40 probably years going, the connections that you have within the industry, bring a lot of that on.
True.
We get solicited a good bit. We try not to go out and chase down artists necessarily. For a while there, that was like a sort of a rule. It's like if they come to us and we see some value, we can do that.
Sure.
So we're not like actively
Going out and seeking.
Yeah, because that's a risk in itself. You never know if you're going to be able to serve the artists as they need to be. You never know if the artists are going to be the kind that end up being the best fit for
and I guess a lot before you even sign anyone, or before, I mean, I guess there's a good bit of talking, bringing them in and talking to see if you're on the ideas fit, they're on the same page. I mean, I guess there's a lot of pre-work before it ever gets to we're going to do this.
There is, and I think you have to sniff out, in some sense, the people that have cohesive business sense.
Boy, with musicians, that's not. I mean, that's a problem sometimes.
Yeah, it can be tough, or at least they're malleable enough to be able to pick up on stuff and learn it, and so it's not just an arduous process of constantly changing moments all the time. Yeah,
babysitting.
Yeah, I mean, don't mind doing that to some extent. Being with helping artists along and learn processes, because some things about a label are institutionalized in the sense that there are industry best practices and status quos, and once again getting out of that DIY mindset and more into that sort of surrendering a bit to a larger team process.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to do that.
And we want that process to be, of course, collaborative. We want the artist to help pursue and fulfill the artist's vision in combination with some guidance.
That's where I was going with that.
Not trying to tell you what to do, what to record. Although if you come and say, I don't necessarily know where to go next, there's a lot of information that we can, or a lot of things we can help with getting folks to the next level. But it's got to be a good fit, and there's a lot of nuances that therein that get you there.
I agree.
And a lot of that to do with just
and I've noticed too. I've noticed that a lot of the people, maybe all of them on your label, or at least on Organic, are pretty much writers themselves. So it's not like you're having to go out and find songs for them.
For the Organic folks, there's a lot of that singer-songwriter kind of artist within the gospel and bluegrass.
I'm sure you go through. How do you do that for them?
Yeah, there's stables of artists, of writers, that are just all over the place, and a lot of folks know each other. But there are, just like there are sort of top level artists, musicians, there are the same thing with writers too.
Yeah, there are. I agree.
And everybody's looking for that great.
I worked at
great
Tree
song.
for a while, so
yeah, you're that's what you are. You are the writer. You are the artist and the writer combined. You're an Organic Records type of artist.
I don't know about that.
That we're gonna get a contract.
No. I'm pretty old now. I don't think there's a lot of promotional value out of me. I think you get I actually sometimes use
You'd be a legacy artist.
Oh, that's a possibility.
Not old, a legacy artist.
There you go. I even sometimes when I played the show last night, and I just labeled myself, since I was just going to be a side man. Used to be. That's one of my
Used to be.
yeah, kind of like Jeff Sight has his apartment Q220 or something like that. I sometimes I use a stage name, used to be, it's, US2B, and it's like, I even wrote a song about that, but I use that just
Well, we'll call that'll be the first. That'll be your name of your new album.
yeah, used to.
US2B.
So yeah, but I think it's a fantastic operation you guys have here. I mean, you took me on the tour.
Yeah.
Great quality stuff, which you haven't addressed that too much. I mean, you haven't addressed the studio part of it. I mean, you're state of the art here.
Yeah, state of the art and always upgrading. I mean, we try to stay on the very top of the curve of that. The signal pass, the motherboards, the microphone collection, the way the studio is set up. It's set up to be a very utilitarian, hardworking, booked every day almost of the week, including weekends most of the time.
Yeah, I mean that is the part of the whole idea. I mean, the bottom line is to have that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's very active. Heads down, make great recordings mentality.
Right.
So yeah, we're as far as the equipment there, we got great engineers, Scott Barnett, Clay Miller down there. Always keeping us on the cusp of what's coming out, what's new equipment-wise. Now we're getting into the new sound delivery quality of Dolby Atmos, which people may know about, but it's starting, it's what you see when you go on Apple Music and you see the spatial mixes and made for that. That's the Dolby Atmos, and we're getting into that and trying to be one of the first groups
people to do that.
Do that in our world.
Yeah, you're the only one I know, basically anywhere near here. If y'all do that, I don't think anybody's doing that.
Yeah, we're just getting into it now, and so the studio has been, and that's one of the big draws is what you hear coming out of.
Yeah, it's great.
It's always been.
It's really good.
Yeah.
I've even taken the time during this. I actually had a stint where I played some Southern gospel music, so I did kind of dig into that category a little bit before I came to, which was, we won't even talk about my Southern gospel experience, but it was a lot of fun. It generated me one of the best stories I've ever had that I'll tell you sometime.
Okay. Sounds like an off-record story.
Yeah, it kind of is. It is. But I spent, as a child, I spent a lot of time in Anderson, South Carolina. And Anderson, South Carolina used to be the gospel music, the Southern gospel music capital, and it had gospel singings all the time, which I was kind of steeped in that. And my grandmother, while she wasn't a Southern gospel musician, she collected gospel music songbooks. So I was steeped in. We would sit out there, and she was a pianist, but we'd sit out on her porch and play, and I was steeped in all that stuff as a child coming up. She was actually a Presbyterian, but she said that, it's a place where the last time anyone wrote a new song was either 1500 or 1300, somewhere in there, So.
Yeah, my grandmother was a Southern gospel super fan as well, up in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, it's and as far as harmonies go, Southern gospel and bluegrass the harmony is the heart of the whole music.
Oh, there's nothing better, really.
I mean, really, there's not.
A great quartet group.
I agree.
Whether or not you are into the particular style, but at least going back historically, I mean, there's nothing better.
Oh, there's not. I mean,
just just the blending of those voices.
They are. I mean,
just and what bluegrass has taken.
Sure.
From that, and all historically linking back to
Well, I guess it goes back to the shape note singing and stuff like that.
Part of that, part of it,
which people miss too. I mean, I could probably do.
There needs to be more of that.
Yeah, there's less, and North Carolina actually had probably a ton more of it than other places. It seemed to be a staple in the Appalachian type.
Well, it was the easiest way for
True.
for rural folk.
They didn't read music and
didn't always have
and it's great. I mean, I've learned to do it. It is a great learning tool.
Yeah.
Laura Businger, I guess you know Laura.
Absolutely.
She's the
Love Laura.
queen of shape note singing, I think.
She's
probably
the queen of a
expert.
lot of great
She is.
folk music in this area.
Yeah, she is, and she's probably the authority around here of shape note singing.
Yeah. She's great resource, a great asset to our community.
Yeah, she is. Now we have to talk about. You also have a band of your own.
I do.
Let's talk about them.
I'm a member of a band of
Right.
5 of us.
Yeah, exactly. I put.
Sometimes
that wrong.
I think it's my own, but
Yes, I do understand that. I did.
I've had a little bit of bands of my own, I guess, in the past, but I'm just a team member. I actually joined this group. You're talking about Unspoken
Yes,
Tradition.
I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guys from Cherville.
Terrible.
Yeah, they were already around, and some incarnations of all of them being a Cherville-based group.
All right.
They recruited me through Darren Aldridge, which you mentioned earlier. He was also from Cherville.
He is.
They recruited me to go to Spigma one year. It was 10 years ago to play mandolin in the band competition, and we struck up a friendship and was able to start playing with those guys. And then 10 years later, I think in that competition we came in second or third to last or something. And now we're on our 4th album.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, contests are overrated. You realize that?
Yeah.
I mean,
we literally had played together 30 minutes.
In the course of things, I have a personal thing that I do not believe that music needs to be a competition.
I absolutely.
And if you have that, if you want to make it that, then you can make it on record sales, I guess. I mean, there's nothing in it for me to say your band is better or my band is better than another band. Why does it have to be a better, it's music?
Yeah, no, in the subjective.
I mean, you can be good, better, and best possibly, but still.
Yeah, you're talking about a subjective reality there, which none of the competition is just that's not real. I think in the sense of old-time bluegrass and fiddle-based music and fiddle competitions,
Fiddlecott's different.
those are kind of those are way for those are community events, right? Participation in this music we're playing is participatory music.
Right.
I think for the most part it helped give kids focus.
True. And
they were learning.
Yes, and I think that is good too. I mean that does serve a purpose because you need some justification of some type to continue doing this, thinking that. Maybe I should do this in a more serious manner.
Well, I think before there
maybe
were.
I shouldn't do this in a more.
Maybe this isn't working. Pre-music programs in high schools and junior high and band stuff. We're talking about going way back. Historically, these competitions were sort of
True
fulfilled that. It was able for people to learn from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the tradition of the music competition in
True.
this particular music. But overall, you're not, as much as awards help list of accolades and kind of can help boost careers along.
No, they do. I mean, they really do.
Winning an award doesn't mean you should be categorized as better or.
No, but it does affect your income.
It does.
I mean,
it does.
I mean, it's not a bad thing to aspire to. I mean, it's. And you probably get more. I think musicians are okay with being musicians and not worrying about, we got 2 different types of band and they can both be good, whereas people like competitions too. I mean, people like to choose a best I had a band and we opened some shows for The Ranch, which was Keith Urban. And, and there was no, there was no wondering who was the best. Keith was the best. Everybody that opened for him, they knew. I mean, it was, as an artist, when you stood up there, you thought, well, I can't wait to see what he's going to do, And it's like, y'all open for him? Yeah, we do. But it's then, he went on to have a hit or two. Keith, he's a nice guy.
He's gotten popular.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. So
yeah, so that's how I got my start with those guys. We eventually evolved over. We've done 3. This is I believe working on our 4th album that's going to be out in June. We had some different members come in. Lee Schufer, which was a founding member, was a songwriter and singer for a good stint of the first 3 albums. And contributed some great music and vocal talent to those. Matt Warren was an early bass player. Both of those guys have now, we have on bass Sav Sankrin, Allegheny Mountain Boy from Pennsylvania, and an incredible singer, super talented player, great guy, great river fly fisherman as well.
Oh, that's great. Oh, this is well here, Charlie Humphreys. I guess you know Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie, Charles. That's that seems to be a going thing these days with bass players.
Well, the perfect segue there. Both bass players, both great guys. And Charles wrote, along with Phil Barker, wrote our most recent single that just released, that Sav Sings, and got a lot of attention. I think it debuted on the chart recently, and
I'll listen to it on the way coming up here.
Yeah, Lookout Mountain. So that's our bass guy, and then Tim Gardner, who I played with a couple of incarnations of different groups. We played in a band called High Windy for a few years there. And he helped us record the first album at a studio and played some fiddle on it, and eventually joined in as a full-time member. And he's been doing that for 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's the current lineup. Audie McGinnis, incredible songwriter, gifted singer and guitar player, just a great picker and singer. Cherryville guy. His brother Zane McGinnis, same thing. Just a great banjo and really blossoming banjo player. Over there, I've just really watched him just get better and better and better over the years. He's really great. Picker also from Cherryville. And so those are the brothers, and then the rest of us. Then I'm picking some mandolin, and everybody contributes to some of the songwriting. Myself, Audie, and then previously Lee were the main writers, and everybody contributes to the vocals and the arrangements and everything. So it's a great.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good when it's that way.
Yeah.
Different singers too, not the same singer over and over.
Yeah, Audie and Sab, I think, are 2 of the best new voices, I think, coming along.
They're good voices. Yeah, they do have good voices. I agree.
Pat them on the back.
Yeah, I mean, so it looks. So I guess that you have jobs lined up for the summertime. I guess to promote new record.
Yeah, record's coming out. The collection is coming out.
Yeah,
the record is coming out in mid-June. We got some shows. I'm going to play the ISIS downtown, which was West Asheville, which was a big contributor to helping us get some of our early stage time. So we appreciate all those folks down there at the ISIS, and we'll be there end of May, I think the 28th. Playing all through June and July down in Charlotte, the Whitewater Center, 185 King Street.
Great venues.
The Savs area in Pennsylvania. Playing with some of our other label artists, Alex Leach Band, Fireside Collective, up at a festival up there. So yeah, the summertime schedule's pretty full.
That's good.
Playing in Waynesville, I think, in the end of May.
You're going to do the Earl Scruggs, the first Earl Scruggs Festival.
And then when the fall comes along, the Earl Scruggs Festival.
Which is
first.
Finally, first one. Yeah, it's
after a few delays there.
But that will be cool because that'll be a piece of bluegrass and festival history to be on that first show.
Yeah.
It's.
I still want one of the jackets that were made back. Steve Johnson's got a jacket. Somebody give me a jacket.
Yeah, Mary Beth. Mary Beth Martin is the executive director.
We're at the Scruggs Center.
Yeah, and she's a friend of mine. We collaborate a lot because usually I run this out of the Earl Scruggs Center. I do my interviews up there, and so we have a really good working relationship.
Great folks there.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, I agree. It's I'm glad to be a part of it, and actually, her husband and her father-in-law are musicians, and her father-in-law David Martin was one of the early outstanding bluegrass musicians in Western North Carolina.
Okay.
David had a hybrid, he had a really good, really fabulous bluegrass band, but then he also had a hybrid band called Les Honk, which combined banjos and fiddles with electric guitars way early, which
very cool.
I would tell you that it would have been the forerunner of Americana in Western North Carolina. It was a really fine band, but she has a connection through that. In fact, they've gone to Earl Scruggs' home this weekend in Nashville because they're selling it and they're going to pick up stuff. So.
Oh wow, they're doing like an estate sale over there.
Yeah, they're donating stuff to the Earl Scruggs Center and other stuff.
Sure.
I think Earl Scruggs Center might have the first dibs on it, and then the country music, whatever they don't want or can't use, then the Hall of Fame's going to.
Oh, good.
Take it.
Not
So
just going everywhere. Good.
No, yeah, and I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's being a part of that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we can't wait. Huge, great lineup.
Yeah,
there.
it is. It really is. Podcast.
Because that's in August, not quite the fall.
Yeah, and I think it's September. I think it's Labor Day weekend, probably.
Okay.
Of course, I'll be doing.
Well, it moved a little bit. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like prior years.
Yeah. So I'll be there doing the podcast, and we may be doing this again up there.
Let me know if I can get
way.
any of our artists over to your podcast table. And
that would be good, because there is a good many of those on the show too, is there not?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we can do that.
Great.
I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Have I missed anything?
I don't know. I've rambled and babbled on. That sounds like most of the stuff I'm into.
Everything that we need to know.
Yeah, I guess. If anyone's interested, that's the stuff.
Ty, I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
This has been
an honor. I've listened to a lot of our artists that you've recorded on the podcast. I've been a fan.
They've been nice. They've all of them have been really nice people too. You do a good job of finding, beside incredibly talented musicians, nice people too.
I'm just lucky to be able to, and honored to be able to promote who I can.
I mean, I after interviewing and knowing some of the ones that even play with them and stuff, I realized that coming here was going to be fun, because there was not a jerk in the whole bunch.
Good.
And they were nice people.
Great.
And
we can say the same for you.
Well, who knows?
This work you're doing, it's really great.
Thank you. It has been a wonderful thing for me, because I like to promote artists.
Yeah.
So
you're like one of us here.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, kind of am. I like artists.
Yeah.
Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate you.
that we lost all control. I'm leaving Lookout Mountain. I'm leaving this life I've known. Leaving Lookout Mountain. Oh, the good times, they're up and gone. Oh, the good times, they're up and gone. Once a road that carried me home now carries me far away. Mountains in my rear view as the blue sky fades to gray. Gonna make my way even if I hide on a greener mountainside to find a place where progress ain't caught up to the times. Ain't caught up to the times.